Well, hello and welcome to episode 27, titled I'm a Fussy Diner. There's a hell of a lot of murders in England countrysides, according to British TV, and an argument over a garage door opener. Being a full blooded Italian, as far as I know, I tend to be a fussy diner. Having the incredible good fortune of growing up with parents being both skilled cooks, along with a wife of 31 years who is even more capable and well rounded in the kitchen than my parents were. I'm accustomed to food that is prepared with high standards, so I am spoiled when it comes to cuisine. However, I usually give wide berth to restaurants. There, I'm not as fussy and make allowances for food that is not up to par. I can't explain why I am this way, but perhaps it's because I expect less from them. And most of the time that I've eaten out, I've been satisfied with what I've been served. When it comes to food, I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And there are some combinations of food that I don't especially prefer. And watching probably hundreds of cooking shows on food TV, PBS, the Cooking Channel, morning shows, YouTube, etc. I've seen them all, and I've seen them all, and plenty of extremely impressive meals prepared on these shows from some of the best chefs in the world. And of course, being of Italian heritage, I do love Italian cooking. I love its simplicity and the insistence on fresh food, its sophistication and refined detail in preparation. I did visit Italy in 2017, and we visited Rome, Florence, Venice, and Milan. The various regions in Italy have their styles, and as I remember someone once saying that in Italy, you only need to go a few blocks away or just a mile or two, and the styles and recipes can change quite a bit. I was very impressed with the food in Italy, and it seemed to me that just about everything we were served was as expected, done with style, grace, and delicacy. But being particular, I will relate some disappointments that I've encountered in my many years of eating. These are specific cases, and many of them have to do with poor preparation, modern food, freshness, and in some cases, just being uninformed and careless. There may be little more disappointing than bad pizza. For something that is so simple to make, I'm always surprised at how many times I've been let down with pizza that I've been served. And of course, I've already mentioned that I'm spoiled being a native of New Haven, Connecticut, which has some of the best pizza on the planet. Even after being employed for New York City for 34 years, I couldn't believe how bad some of the pizza was in the city. Most pizza joints were decent, but some of the worst pizza I've ever had was in New York City. And of course, I'm not taking into account the Little Caesars, Domino's, and Pizza Hut, etc. That's not pizza. I don't particularly care for pork chops and beef that we buy in stores today. I find most of the cuts to be as tough as shoe leather and tasteless, though I don't mind each of either. However, if I'm going to eat steak, I really prefer a New York strip. Another fetish I have is for cheese. I do love Parmigiano Reggiano, ricotta, provolone, scamorza, mozzarella, and smoked Gouda, to name a few, and appreciate the complexity of most cheeses that I've had. However, I don't care for cheese on meat, fish, and in soup, and I don't put cheese on my pasta either unless it's already naturally baked into the pasta dish with manigot, lasagna, or ravioli. When I order a hamburger, I always turn down the cheese, and when a waiter or waitress asks if I want cheese on my food, I always turn the offer down. Another food that I don't care for naturally shows up in a multitude of dishes, and that's carrots. I hate liver and or any organ meat and don't understand what people find enjoyable about eating innards. The minerally chewy and heaviness to them is disgusting to me. But I suppose if you're exposed to them early enough, you get used to them. And with seafood, which I usually love, I'm always fussy with our underwater friends. I don't care for gamey fish, prefer saltwater fish over freshwater fish, and don't care for sardines and prefer the more gentle tasting fish that is prepared with butter and olive oil with garlic, capers, salt, and pepper. I do love some every form of shellfish, especially crab, mussels, lobster, shrimp, and oysters. And when I'm dining out, I invariably choose a seafood dish. I would guess that I've ordered seafood at restaurants 90% or more of the time. I do enjoy pork in most cold cuts, and when pork is prepared by a skilled chef, it's exquisite. One of my natural favorite foods are olives, and in my teens, I acquired the habit of eating olives almost daily, and they're always in our house. And for a country as noble, as aristocratic, civilized, and sophisticated as England, they sure as hell have a lot of murders on their soil, especially in these smaller suburban towns a la all of their detective series and murder mysteries such as Midsummer Murders, Death in Paradise, Strike, Endeavor, Unforgotten, Shetland, Silent Witness, etc., etc. What's going on there? I don't see any of these murders occurring in London, Birmingham, or Liverpool. Or maybe they just don't care about murders in big cities. I guess murdered aristocrats are much more interesting to view. And only a husband and wife could get into an argument over the proper use of a remote garage door opener, as we were encountering some futility with its function one day. I was pressing the button to open the door and it wasn't working. And this wasn't our first time with a garage door opener either. We've had these doors for decades. So naturally, my wife insisted that I wasn't hitting the button correctly or pointing the remote properly. And I'm like, what? I mean, what's simpler than pressing a button on a garage door opener? And as the frustrations grew, as I kept pressing the damn button to the door that would not budge, I loudly told my wife, how could I not perform this function properly? You point and shoot, that's it. Even I couldn't fuck this up. So fortunately, I handed her the remote, and the door was still dormant. I was glad that the door didn't respond, but she will find fault with whatever next that I'm doing inappropriately. You gotta love these moments in life. What would our lives be without these amusing situations? The life of gadgetry and technology. They have a mind of their very own, and the battery on the remote was just replaced. And lastly, for episode 25, being somewhat of a musician, with the word somewhat being the major indicator here, I once heard someone say that music is a demanding mistress. Indeed it is. It's a very demanding mistress, and you can't deny it. Once it has you for good and wants your attention daily. See you next time. Thanks.